The early 2010s was a quiet period for Star Wars fans. The prequel trilogy had concluded with Revenge of the Sith in 2005. LucasArts, the in-house game studio responsible for classics like Knights of the Old Republic, Force Unleashed, and, of course, one of my personal favorites, the original Star Wars Battlefront games, had been downsized and effectively shuttered, and promising titles like Star Wars 1313 were cancelled. The few games released were mobile or tie-ins. Fans longed for a return to a big AAA Star Wars experience. That drought ended when the Walt Disney Company announced on the 30th of October in 2012 it was acquiring Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion and would produce a new trilogy of films. Disney CEO Bob Iger said the plan was to make a new film every 2 or 3 years. Lucasfilm chairman George Lucas expressed that it was time to pass Star Wars to a new generation. In November 2013, Lucasfilm set a release date of the 18th of December 2015 for Episode 7, which later became The Force Awakens. These announcements reignited the fandom and built expectations for a wave of content across film, television, and of course, video games. Shortly after the acquisition, Electronic Arts secured an exclusive multi-year license to develop core Star Wars games. This was both exciting and controversial. On one hand, EA had the resources to deliver high production values. On the other hand, many gamers feared microtransactions and corporate decisions would stifle creativity. EA assigned different studios to various projects, and one of them was DICE. The masters of Battlefield took up the challenge of reviving the beloved Battlefront brand. At E3 2013, DICE presented a short teaser, a snowy landscape, and the metal foot of an AT-AT, or AT-AT, however you want to pronounce it, crushing the snow. They clarified that this would not be Battlefront 3, but a series reboot built on the Frostbite 3 engine. Without an existing single-player narrative to build on, the team decided to focus on recreating the feel of the original trilogy battles. To achieve this authenticity, DICE adopted photogrammetry, capturing thousands of photographs of original movie props and models to generate in-game assets. This technique allowed them to build models twice as fast as traditional modeling. Each planet had a dedicated art team that collected references from each real-world locations, such as the Redwood Forest for Endor. They even used household materials. For example, they pressed a miniature AT-AT foot into the floor to simulate footprints in the snow. Such attention to detail would become one of Battlefront's hallmarks. In April 2015, at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, DICE unveiled the first full trailer for Star Wars Battlefront. The footage was in-engine and depicted stormtroopers marching across Tatooine, rebel commandos skirting cliffs on Solus, speeder bikes dodging trees on Endor, and a snow speeder entangling an AT-AT on Hoth. The visuals were so convincing that many viewers initially thought the trailer used film footage. Fans and media outlets praised the authenticity and cinematic feel, describing the trailer as mind-blowing, and noting they have never seen Star Wars look so real in a game. On the 8th of October 2015, DICE opened a free public beta on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. The beta included 3 modes: Walker Assault on Hoth, Drop Zone on Solus, and Survival on Tatooine. Over 9.5 million players participated, making it the largest beta in EA history. Walker Assault pitted 20 Rebels against 20 Imperials, with the objectives akin to the film. Rebels activated uplinks to call Y-Wing bombers to weaken AT-ATs, and Imperials pushed forward with walkers while controlling TIE fighters and AT-STs. Drop Zone was an 8 versus 8 fight to control escape pods, encouraging teamwork and quick positioning. Survival allowed 1 or 2 players to fend off waves of stormtroopers, shock troopers, and AT-STs. The beta's soundscape, blaster bolts, TIE fighter screeches, and John Williams' score, coupled with photorealistic graphics, mesmerized players. However, some testers noted the core combat felt shallow and lacked the complexity of Battlefield. They pointed out spawn point issues, limited weapons, and a reliance on random power-ups to access heroes and vehicles. Despite these criticisms, the beta served its purpose. It generated massive interest and allowed DICE to gather feedback on balancing and server stability. The marketing around Battlefront seemed to almost team up with the marketing of The Force Awakens. A limited edition PlayStation 4 bundle featured Darth Vader's helmet on the console and a matching DualShock controller. EA partnered with Sony to offer a special in-game mission for PlayStation VR, later released as the X-Wing VR mission. Retailers bundled Battlefront with Force Awakens tickets, and advertising featured scenes from both the game and the upcoming film. This synergy created a sense that Star Wars was returning to screens and consoles simultaneously, a multimedia celebration not seen since the prequels. While Battlefront's reveal relied on nostalgic trailers and a huge open beta to generate excitement, EA and retailers also enticed players with various pre-order packages and editions. Pre-orders at major retailers offered early access to the free Battle of Jakku DLC, allowing players to experience the Jakku maps a week before general release. Beyond this head start, retailers bundled physical extras and digital items. Now let's break it down into what specifically you would get depending on the edition you buy. They all sold a deluxe version of the game that unlocked several in-game items from day one. The package included Han Solo's DL-44 blaster pistol, which I did use a lot online, an ion grenade for anti-vehicle damage, an ion torpedo, an ion shock, and a victory celebration emote. Players could still unlock equipment gear through regular progression, but these items granted a jump start and a bit of flair. Now, we did have some retail-specific perks. Best Buy offered pre-order customers membership reward certificates, and for members of its Gamer Club, unlocked a 20% discount on the game. GameStop included a double-sided poster featuring artwork from the game and sold the same deluxe edition with the DL-44 and Victory emote. All three retailers provided early access to Jakku, the Ultimate Edition. On EA's Origins storefront, players could upgrade to the Ultimate Edition, which bundled the deluxe game with the Season Pass and promised a 2-week early access to all 4 future expansions. This comprehensive package retailed at $119.99, which at the time was steep. Still is steep, but I kind of wish, Ultimate Editions were that cheap, but effectively pre-purchased every piece of DLC at a discount. EA also partnered with Sony to release a limited Battlefront PlayStation 4 bundle featuring a custom Darth Vader console, like we said, and a controller, further blurring the line between game and collector's item. These additions and pre-order bonuses demonstrate how deeply marketing went with the game's release. They also fueled debates about value. Some players appreciated the early access and cosmetic emotes, while others felt that locking iconic weapons behind deluxe editions was not the greatest thing to do, and it made the base game feel like it lacked content. Star Wars Battlefront launched on the 17th of November in 2015 in North America. The base package included 12 large-scale maps across the planets Hoth, Endor, Tatooine, and Solus, and several smaller arenas designed for combat modes. Each environment captured unique weather, lighting, and soundscapes. Snowfields and icy trenches on Hoth, lush forests, tree houses, and bunker interiors on Endor, dunes, canyons, and Jabba's sail barge wreckage on Tatooine, and industrial lava tubes and ash pits on Solus. The level design offered interactive elements, blast doors on Endor that could be opened or closed, trenches that provided cover on Hoth, and explosive barrels scattered all around Solus. In addition to standard multiplayer, the game offered co-op and solo missions, including survival, battle, and training, which allowed players to practice with AI enemies. During the game's lifespan, many players praised the variety of modes. Here is an expanded description of each one. You have probably the most popular one at the time, Walker Assault, which could have 40 players. A large-scale assault where rebels activate uplinks to bring in Y-wing bombing runs, then concentrate fire on vulnerable walkers before the window closes. Imperials control AT-ATs and AT-STs, secure uplinks, and call in orbital strikes. The dynamic weather on Hoth, which was blizzards, or shifting lighting on Endor, sunset to night, added the tension. Then you also had Supremacy, which was also 40 players. A tug-of-war capturing 5 sequential control points across a sprawling map. This was more similar to the traditional Battlefront. Because both sides have vehicles and hero tokens, Supremacy often produced cinematic moments like Luke Skywalker dueling Vader while AT-ATs loom overhead. You had Fighter Squadron, which was 20 players plus some AI. Dogfights featuring X-Wings, A-Wings, TIE Fighters, and Interceptors. The AI adds immersive ambience while players focus on dogfighting or attacking a priority shuttle. Each match occasionally spawns the ships Millennium Falcon or the Slave One as power-ups. Next up was the mode that I would play when I first started going into multiplayer. It was the perfect mode if you're just new to all this, which was Blast. It was 20 players, a straightforward team deathmatch. Without objectives or vehicles, Blast emphasized gunplay and map knowledge. You also had another one of my favorite modes, Cargo, which had 12 players in it. A capture the flag variant, with each team protecting their cargo while trying to steal the enemies. The smaller player count encourages strategy and flanking rather than chaotic brawls. Droid Run, which was also 12 players. Teams fight over 3 wandering GN key power droids. Because the droids move around, players must constantly reposition, giving the mode a frantic pace. Drop Zone, which included 16 players. Teams compete to capture escape pods that crash randomly onto the map. Each pod spawns power-ups when claimed, rewarding map control. Heroes vs. Villains, which could have up to 12 players. Each round features 3 heroes and villains per side, plus standard troopers. The goal is to eliminate the opposing heroes. This mode spotlights hero interplay and encourages protecting your own champions. Hero Hunt, which would have 8 players. 1 player is randomly assigned a hero while 7 other players play as soldiers. Whoever kills the hero becomes the next hero. This mode is chaotic and perfect for short bursts. I thought this mode was a lot of fun. I had late nights with my friends playing this one. A really good time. And of course you had Battle and Training, which was 1 to 2 players. This offline mode included survival missions, training with vehicles like speeder bikes and T-47 snow speeders, and battle scenarios where players collect tokens by defeating AI. They serve as tutorials and some couch co-op experiences. At release, 6 iconic characters were playable: Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia for the Rebels, and Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, and Boba Fett for the Empire. Each hero had 3 unique abilities and a trait that improved as they scored kills. Luke was a mobile powerhouse with Saber Rush and Force Push. Han was a gunslinger with rapid fire and a shoulder charge. Leia provided team support with a squad shield and power weapons. Vader swung his lightsaber and force choked his enemies. Palpatine unleashed Force Lightning and dropped power-ups. And Boba Fett used his jetpack, wrist rockets, and flamethrower. Watch those wrist rockets. Notably, hero health did not regulate like standard soldiers, so players had to be aggressive yet careful. Power-ups to become a hero spawned randomly, meaning that even an average player could have had cinematic moments. Even though I enjoyed this, many players found this system frustrating when they repeatedly missed tokens. Reviews for the base game were mixed, but generally positive regarding presentation. Critics lauded the game's visuals and sound design. Forbes analysts highlighted that reviews constantly praised the beautiful spectacle and the authenticity of the Star Wars universe. However, multiple outlets laminated the lack of depth and content. Kevin Dunsmore of Hardcore Gamers said the game prioritized style over substance and offered too few weapons and maps. William Shorts of Attack of the Fanboy noted that the game's thin content made it less enjoyable for the longer you played. GameSport's Mike Mahardy called the first 10 hours spectacular, but said the game didn't go much deeper. On the positive side, Game Radar's Andy Hardup argued that it delivered pure joy and appealed to the child inside every fan. User reviews echoed this split. Many casual players loved being able to jump into Star Wars battles without complex mechanics, which is what I also really enjoyed about it. While veterans of the original 2004 Battlefront and DICE's Battlefield series felt the game lacked strategic depth. For many, the release of Battlefront and The Force Awakens created a singular cultural moment. On opening night, fans lined up to see the movie, and then went home to play through the Battle of Hoth on their consoles. Social media was filled with pictures of parents playing with their children, friends cosplaying as stormtroopers while playing split screen, and families unwrapping Battlefront under their Christmas trees. The synergy between film and game, down to the free Battle of Jakku DLC that arrived in December of 2015, a week before the movie for pre-orders, and free for all the week after. It made the holiday season magical. Many players finally recalled that winter as a once-in-a-lifetime combination of hype, nostalgia, and shared community. I remember I got the game when it came out, but then that week from Christmas to New Year's was special. All of my friends got the game and we all hopped in a PlayStation party and just played it every day. It's one of my favorite Christmas breaks from what I could remember from my childhood. From a commercial standpoint, the first Battlefront was a success. Before launch, EA told investors it expected to ship 9 to 10 million copies by the end of March in 2016. After the beta drew 9.5 million players, the company raised its ambitions and said it hoped to sell at least 13 million copies by that date. The game debuted at number 1 in UK retail charts and became the fastest-selling Star Wars game ever, outselling the previous record holder, The Force Unleashed, by 117%. By early December 2015, analyst Michael Patcher estimated 12 million copies had been sold. EA met its 13 million target by the start of 2016 and reported that shipments reached 14 million copies by May of 2016. In Japan, the PlayStation 4 version sold 123,908 copies in its first week, topping the sales chart. These figures demonstrate that, despite mixed reviews, the game resonated with a broad audience. The game also received accolades for its presentation. At the 2015 National Academy of Video Game Trade Reviewers Awards, Battlefront won sound effects and use of sound and was nominated for lighting and graphics. It won Action Game of the Year at the 19th Annual DICE Awards and picked up nominations for Outstanding Technical Achievement and Art Direction. These honors underline that, while critics debated gameplay depth, industry peers recognized the technical artistry and sound design that made players feel like they were truly in a galaxy far, far away. The base game's criticism of lacking content was addressed through free updates and 4 paid expansion packs included in the Season Pass. Each expansion added new maps, modes, heroes, weapons, and star cards. This section expands on those packs and integrates player feedback from contemporary reviews. Let's look at the Battle of Jakku. Released on the 8th of December in 2015 with a 1-week early access for pre-orders, the Battle of Jakku served as the prologue to The Force Awakens. It featured 2 maps, Graveyard of Giants with a downed Star Destroyer and crashed AT-ATs littering in a vast desert, and Gozan Badlands, a canyon network with shipwrecks and canyons. The new 40-player mode, Turning Point, had rebels push Imperials back through multiple defensive lines until the final base, capturing sequential points while on a timer. These additions offered players a taste of the upcoming film's setting and were widely praised for being free. Outer Rim, which was released in March of 2016. The Outer Rim expansion introduced 4 compact maps set in Jabba's palace and on Solus, the new extraction mode, 2 heroes, Neenum and Greedo, 4 weapons, 3 star cards, and a progression system called HUD contracts. Extraction had rebel players escorting a shipment through tight corridors and industrial pipelines while the Imperials attempted to stop them. Each checkpoint extended the timer, leading to a nail-biting final push. I loved this map. I thought it was really fun no matter which side you were on. It created a new twist if whether you were on the Rebel side or the Empire side. I thought this was a great addition to the game. Reviewers noted that the Outer Rim's maps focused on the initial firefights rather than the Walker Assault scale battles. 2 of the maps take place in Jabba's palace and the palace garage on Tatooine, while the other 2 are set on the Sorcev complex on Solus. The palace interior includes Jabba's throne room with a dead Rancor in the pit. Shout out to the Rancor keeper, probably still sad about that one, and hallways filled with trophy heads, while the garage features Jabba's sail barge tucked away among parked skiffs. On Solus, one map is a refinery with huge machinery, catwalks, and vats of molten metal, and the other is set alongside multiple pipelines with dramatic vistas of the volcanic landscape. All 4 maps were designed for smaller modes like Blast, Droid Run, and Extraction, with a mix of open spaces and tight corridors, and plenty of elevation for jump pack maneuvers. This focus on smaller engagements contrasted with the 40-player battles of the base game, and allowed DICE to cram more environmental detail into each space. But some players questioned the choice of heroes. Nien Nunb and Greedo, while fun to play, were not the major heroes people were expecting, leading to comments that their inclusion felt underwhelming. Critics also noted that limiting these maps to small modes meant that there was still no new content for Walker Assault or Supremacy. Nonetheless, reviewers praised the beautiful detailing and considered Extraction an excellent addition. Reviewers acknowledged that Outer Rim was a small step in the right direction. The writer of Entertainment Fuse praised the Extraction mode as intense and said the final push was genuinely exciting. However, some critics like Paul Roselli at Gaming Age argued that the DLC arrived too late, 4 months after launch, and feared that the player base had already moved on. He criticized the $50 season pass and felt that Greedo and Nien Nunb were unexciting character choices. Roselli did, however, appreciate the fun he had with friends and recommended the DLC at a standalone price, calling the maps distinct and the hero editions enjoyable. Players who adopted Outer Rim praised the new weapons, Relby V10, DT-12, DL-18, DLT-19X. Star cards like Deoxys Grenade and Adrenaline Stim, and the introduction of HUD contracts, a set of in-game challenges to unlock gear. Alongside Outer Rim, DICE released a major patch, raising the level cap to 60, adding combat roles, introducing spectator mode, improving team balancing, and rebalancing many star cards and weapons. This update addressed early complaints about overpowered grenades and poor matchmaking. This next one is probably my favorite DLC addition I remember when the games were coming out, and that was Bespin in June of 2016. The second expansion transported the game to the floating city of Bespin. It added 5 maps: Cloud City, Administrator's Palace, Carbonite Freezing Chambers, BioNip Laboratories, and the Bespin Airspace, and the new Sabotage mode. Sabotage tasks Rebel players with disabling 3 gas generators powering an Imperial tractor beam. If successful, they retreated to the final point to escape. Bespin also introduced Lando Calrissian and Dengar as playable characters, the EE-4 and X-8 Night Sniper weapons, star cards like Shock Grenade and Disruption, and a Cloud Car vehicle. Reviewers noted that the Bespin expansion offered more varied and larger maps than Outer Rim. Nicole Ardron of God is a Greek appreciated the bigger maps accommodating the 16 vs 16 games and the improved partner mechanics, such as a shared cooldown benefit. She praised the new Sabotage mode as chaotic fun and enjoyed the appearance of Lando. The maps themselves provided a mix of wide avenues and tight corridors. Outside, players ran along a great environment with landing pads with sweeping views of Cloud City's orange sunset. Inside, the Carbonite Freezing Chambers offered dark, claustrophobic hallways and vertical shafts where pistols shone. However, Ardron criticized the separate playlist structure that split the community and laminated that Cloud City lacked the grand vistas of Hoth or Endor. She also felt Walker Assault was unbalanced on these maps because the cramped streets made it difficult to get a clear line of sight on the AT-AT. On the positive side, fans loved playing as Lando with his witty taunts and Dengar with his brawler kit, and they enjoyed that Drop Zone and Droid Run now supported 16 players. The Bespin release coincided with an update that refined the partner system, giving players benefits for staying near their partner, faster star card recharge, and revenge markers, and balanced the scoring system by awarding full points for assistance. These tweaks encouraged teamwork and improved the base game. Next up, we got Skirmish Offline mode in July of 2016. Responding to players who missed offline content, DICE introduced Skirmish in July of 2016. Skirmish allowed single players or 2 players in split screen to enjoy Walker Assault and Fighter Squadron against AI bots. The update also improved spawn mechanics, refined the UI, and rebalanced several weapons and star cards. Many casual players and families appreciated being able to practice online or enjoy a couch co-op experience without the intensity of online competition. The Death Star DLC in September of 2016. The third expansion delivered what many fans have requested: space battles and multi-stage gameplay. The new Battle Station mode combined 3 phases: an outer space dogfight around an Imperial Star Destroyer, an infantry assault inside the Death Star where players rescued R2-D2, and a trench run finale. The maps included the Death Star surface, which was in space, an Imperial blockade, defense sector, power sector, and command sector. New heroes Chewbacca and Bossk joined the roster, and hero ships Red 5 and TIE Advance X1 gave players unique starfighter experiences. New weapons, such as the TL-50 Heavy Repeater, the K-16 Briar Pistol, and star cards, medical droid, and a laser trip mine rounded out the pack. Many fans hailed Battle Station as the DLC that finally gave Battlefront purpose and narrative momentum. Derek Miller of Gaming Respawn wrote that the Battle Station stitched together 3 different maps and objectives into one cohesive experience, something the base game lacked. He noted the first phase required taking down a Star Destroyer, the second involved escorting R2-D2 out of the Death Star's corridors while fending off hordes of stormtroopers, and the third let a few chosen rebel pilots make the iconic trench run. He observed that heroes like Chewbacca were finally critical to success, as their abilities could break Imperial choke points. Miller confessed that after completing all 3 phases, he felt genuine joy, and that the DLC finally justified his purchase of the Bells and Whistles edition, as he put it. Other players praised the nostalgia thrill of the trench run and the inclusion of R2-D2 as a playable objective. Some critics noted that hero ships and new blasters refreshed the starfighter experience, though the flight model remained simplified compared to other space sims. Nonetheless, Death Star is often remembered as the highlight of the Season Pass. Rogue One Scarif in December of 2016. Coinciding with the release of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, the final expansion transported players to the tropical beaches and jungles of Scarif. The flagship mode, Infiltration, is a 3-stage battle where Rebels first pilot U-Wings through a shield gate, while Imperials defend. Then, capture a ground objective, and finally deliver data tapes to extraction points. The DLC introduced the A180 blaster pistol/rifle hybrid and DT-29 revolver, the sonic imploder grenade, and the hero-villain pair of Jyn Erso and director Orson Krennic. It was pretty much an unspoken rule: when you got Krennic, you had to say, "Are we blind? Deploy the garrison!" Jyn could switch her A180 between pistol and rifle and use a melee surge attack while her trait builds charges. Krennic wields a powerful armor breaker shot, summons his C2-B5 droid to deploy shields and gas clouds, and buffs allies with the Wrath of the Empire. Jim Hargreaves of the 6th Access describes Scarif as Battlefront at its best. Maps were lush and offered a variety, and new weapons quickly became favorites. He enjoyed the first phase of Infiltration, which forced rebels to navigate a gauntlet of TIE fighters while escorting U-Wings, and noted that calling in a U-Wing or TIE Striker via tokens added a dynamic twist. However, he criticized the clunky transition between phases and laminated that many matches ended before the 3rd phase due to timers. He also observed that the Infiltration mode felt stitched together, and the separate playlist structure remained an awkward gating of content. Nevertheless, he appreciated the versatility of the A180, which allowed players to switch to a sniper or ion configurations on the fly. The new heroes were also well received. Jin's agile playstyle contrasted with Krennic's supportive role. Many players saw Scarif as a fitting conclusion to the game, delivering fresh visuals and bridging to the film's events. After the final expansion, DICE continued to fine-tune the game. In January 2017, Update addressed numerous balance issues. After a hero was stunned, they became immune to stuns for 2 seconds, preventing chained stun locks. Bosk's micro-grenade blast radius was reduced, Chewbacca's mighty roar was nerfed, Vader's trait radius increased while no longer boosting enemies, Krennic's armor breaker damage was reduced, Luke's speed was slightly lowered, Jim's pistol damage increased, Lando's power blast no longer damaged him, and other heroes received little tweaks. The patch also fixed the bugs from Scarif from the Scarif update, and adjusted Walker Assault to make AT-ATs more vulnerable. These changes reflected DICE's commitment to maintaining balance and listening to feedback even after the main development cycle. Although the expansion brought the biggest chunks of content, DICE also released significant free updates throughout 2016 that reshaped core systems. These patches demonstrates how the developers responded to community feedback and introduced new mechanics. The first major post-launch patch added private matches, allowing friends to set up custom lobbies with preferred modes and maps, and introduced new Hoth outfits for Luke and Han to reflect their film appearance. It expanded daily challenges to encourage varied play and opened up new survival missions on Tatooine. Balance changes touched nearly every weapon and star card. The homing shot lock-on time was increased, the EE3 dealt less explosive damage, jump packs had longer cooldowns, and the cycle rifle required better timing. The update also adjusted spawn logic so players would respawn farther than enemies, reducing frustrating deaths. Shortly before Outer Rim launch, DICE pushed a large patch that raised the level cap, added the ability to combat roll by double tapping the roll button, and allowed players to switch which shoulder the camera rests on. This update introduced a spectator mode for those who wanted to watch matches, added new HUD contracts, and made sweeping balance adjustments. Many star cards were reworked. The pulse cannon had its charge time increased, the bowcaster explosion radius was reduced, barrage grenades spread less, and the jump pack now required a short delay before use. Vehicle timers were reduced, making it easier to call in air support, and hero abilities were tweaked to encourage fair fights. In June 2016, alongside with the Bespin expansion, DICE overhauled the partner system. Originally, partners served primarily to share star cards and provide a spawn point, but the update rewarded players for sticking close to their partner. Staying within a few meters reduced star card cooldowns, and if your partner was killed, an outline marked the killer so you could seek revenge. The distance for spawning near a partner was reduced from 20 meters to 2 meters, making it easier to rejoin battles. Assist points were increased and displayed more clearly, encouraging teamwork. The June update also cemented the combat roll as a core mechanic. Players can now dodge incoming fire more reliably, reducing the dominance of explosive weapons. Later in September, DICE released a patch that completely reworked the trait system. Instead of building up to a powerful level 3 bonuses, each kill granted a 50% chance to earn a power-up. While the traits themselves offered passive bonuses at all levels, for example, Berserker improved the hip fire accuracy and damage as players fire continuously, Bodyguard reduced explosive damage and blaster headshot damage, Bounty Hunter reduced star card cooldowns and increased the change of dropping power-ups. This overhaul made traits more balanced and reduced the gap between new and veteran players. The same September patch allowed players to mix and match heads and bodies, removing unpopular helmetless stormtrooper options and introducing new skins such as X-Wing Pilot, Rebel Officer, Imperial Officer, and Death Star Trooper. Players can also equip gear previously restricted to certain ranks. These updates combined with earlier additions like HUD contracts that rewarded skill changes with new weapons and star cards added variety and personalization. Collectively, these free updates transformed Battlefront. They provided new ways to play, with private matches and combat role, for example, encourage cooperation with the partner system, revamp progression with the traits and contracts, and refresh the look of soldiers. While they attracted less attention than the headline expansions, they demonstrated DICE's commitment to evolving the game in response to community feedback. Let's give an in-depth look at the heroes, villains, and gear. To give each hero the attention they deserve, let's examine their full kits and strategies. Let's start with the main man himself, Luke Skywalker. Luke is all about speed and melee combat. His saber rush lets him dash forward, with his lightsaber outstretched, cleaving through multiple foes. Force push knocks back groups, useful for clearing control points and pushing enemies off ledges. Heavy strike is a slower, more powerful swing that breaks through the block and deals increased damage. Luke's trait increases his damage reduction with each kill, rewarding aggressive play. He can deflect blaster bolts, but cannot block for as long as Vader. Effective Luke players combine Saber Rush to close distance, then use Force Push to knock opponents down and finish them with Heavy Strike. Han Solo. Han excels at mid-range gunplay. His rapid-fire temporary removes overheat from his DL-44, allowing him to fire continuously. Shoulder Charge knocks back enemies and can quickly reposition. Lucky Shot fires a charged bolt that damages vehicles and heroes. Han's trait improves hipfire accuracy and damage. Smart players use Lucky Shot at ATSTs or shield generators and save rapid fire for close quarter duels. Shoulder charges can be used defensively to escape. Princess Leia. Leia is a support hero whose abilities focus on team survival. Supply drop spawns either a hero health pickup or a power weapon for a teammate. Enhanced Squad Shield deploys an indestructible dome shield that blocks explosions and blaster fire for a short duration. Leia's trait increases her teammates' blaster damage when she remains alive and near them. She can also summon bodyguards as part of her passive ability when playing heroes versus villains. Leia is valuable in modes where holding objectives matters. Ninum. Added with Outer Rim, Ninum is a tactical specialist. He places an auto turret that gains power as he accumulates kills, uses proximity bombs to trap choke points, calls in orbital strikes that saturates an area, and uses a pulse cannon for sniping. His trait upgrades his turret's range and damage. Ninum excels in defensive play. Setting up his turn and bombs near objectives can lock down areas. Lando Calrissian. The best spent scoundrel is a gambler who rewards precision. His power blast charges a powerful shot. Shocking trap places a hidden device that stuns enemies. System disruption overheats enemy weapons and star cards. Lando's trait increases his damage if he maintains accuracy. Skilled players can chain headshots to amplify Lando's output. His abilities are particularly annoying against villains reliant on abilities. Chewbacca. Chewie is built for tanking damage. His bowcaster can fire charge bursts that shoot multiple bolts. Mighty Roar stuns nearby enemies and buffs allied heroes. Multi-bolts overcharges his bowcaster for a short time. Chewie's trait increases his damage resistance as he builds up kills. He is slow but resilient and can break enemy lines when paired with more mobile heroes. Jyn Erso. Jyn's A180 pistol is unique because it gets switched between pistol, rifle, ion, and sniper modules on the fly. Her sonic imploder grenade damages, blinds, and reduces armor of foes, making it useful for softening positions. The Trochan Surge is a melee dash that can chain through multiple enemies if charges are available. Jyn's trait, the Trochanian Charge, builds charges when she lands shots. Jyn is fast and versatile. Players can start with the rifle to pick off enemies and then switch to pistol for close combat. She can blend in with regular rebels due to her similar gear, making her harder to target. And here's some expanded profiles of the villains. We got Darth Vader to start. Vader is a tank with slow movement. Heavy strike deals huge damage. Force choke lifts and strangles enemies. Saber throw lets him hurl his lightsaber, dealing damage at range. Vader's trait reduces incoming blaster damage and grants him health on kill. Players often pair Vader with Palpatine because Palpatine can heal him with power-ups. Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine is a support villain. Force lightning streams electricity that arcs between enemies. Chain lightning hits multiple foes at range. Force dash is a quick leap forward. An Imperial supply drops power-ups and health for allies. Palpatine's trait reduces damage taken when near allies. He is key to sustaining Imperial heroes and can quickly move around the battlefield. Boba Fett. Boba Fett is the most mobile villain. His jetpack lets him hover over vertical spaces. His EE-3 blaster fires bursts at a long range. Wrist rockets, watch those wrist rockets, and they deal with splash damage. Flamethrower is lethal up close. Boba's trait increases his accuracy while airborne. Skilled players stay at mid-air distance, raining down fire. Greedo. Greedo's kit rewards risk. He throws grenades, uses a precision blast with increasing damage, and his confidence trait improves his ability with each kill. However, he is fragile. Overextending often leads to quick deaths. Greedo is suited for quick ambushes rather than sustained fights. Dengar. Dengar is an aggressive bruiser. He wields a modified DLT-19 light machine gun, uses Hurricane Strike to swing his weapons in a wide arc, has Furious Blast for multi-shot bursts, and explosive punches charges that deal area damage. His Berserker trait increases as he takes hits. Dengar thrives in the thick of battle and can soak up considerable damage. Bossk uses microgrenades, toggles Predator instincts to highlight enemies and increase movement speed, and deploys gas clouds to control space. His Trandoshan regeneration trait heals him when he secures kills. Bossk excels at area denial. Players often combine his grenades with gas to trap enemies. Director Krennic. Krennic is a defensive support villain. His armor breaker fires a charged shot that reduces enemy armor and stuns them. His C2-B5 astromech droid scans for enemies, deploys a shield, and releases gas. Wrath of the Empire grants temporary extra health and armor to nearby teammates. His motivator trait gives him and allies an armor bonus when they cluster around him. Krennic is at his best when he sticks near objectives and buffs his team. And you know what Krennic always says, you gotta deploy the garrison around him. The game features dozens of blasters, each with distinct rates of fire, damage, and recoil. Star cards function like class abilities in other shooters, granting players equipment such as the jetpack, thermal detonator, the cycler rifle, impact grenade, scan pulse, focus fire, and many others. Players select 3 star cards to build a loadout with a charge card, providing a powerful but limited use ability like Barrage or Personal Shield. HUD contracts introduce tasks like get 75 kills with a blaster rifle to unlock new weapons and star cards. Traits offer passive bonuses such as Bodyguard, Survivalist, and Bounty Hunter. These systems provided progression and allowed players to tailor their playstyle, though critics argued the pool of weapons and cards was still small compared to other shooters. Later updates overhauled the trait system so that kills have a chance to drop power-ups and players can equip different traits per hand. Vehicles include ground units like the AT-ST, the T-47 Airspeeder, the 74Z Speeder Bike, and Turbo Blaster turrets, and starships like X-Wings, A-Wings, Y-Wings, TIE Fighters, and TIE Interceptors. The AT-ST can be devastating with its chin cannon and concussion grenades, but is vulnerable to ion weapons. The T-47 Airspeeder has the low cable ability, allowing rebels to bring down an AT-AT in Walker Assault. The speeder bike on Endor offers incredible speed, but is difficult to control. In the air, the Millennium Falcon and Slave One hero ships include unique abilities like Seismic Charge. The Death Star expansion added Red 5 and TIE Advance X1, each with unique stats. In Scarif, U-Wings and TIE Strikers expanded the Starship roster. Many players enjoyed how simple the flight controls were, although simulation fans found them shallow. DICE regularly ran community missions that challenged players worldwide to achieve collective goals, such as accumulating 10 million headshots or 500 million objectives captured. Completing these challenges unlocked in-game credits, exclusive emotes, or double XP weekends. Seasonal events added holiday-themed emotes, like a Stormtrooper dabbing, and red and green blaster bolts. The developer also hosted double score weekends and bonus HUD contract events. These community missions fostered a sense of participation and kept players returning between DLC drops. In December 2016, PS4 owners with PlayStation VR received the Rogue One X-Wing mission, developed by Criterion using assets from Battlefront. This free feature placed players in a cockpit of an X-Wing. Players escorted a U-Wing through space, engaged TIE fighters, and jumped to hyperspace. The mission was short but widely praised for its immersion. Some fans considered the best VR experience at the time, capturing the dream of flying an X-Wing. Sony also released a Darth Vader-themed PS4 bundle with Battlefront and 4 classic games, which were Super Star Wars Racer Revenge, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, and Star Wars Bounty Hunter, further appealing to collectors. And here are some fun facts and Easter eggs. To create realistic AT-AT footprints, DICE developers built a miniature AT-AT foot and pressed it into flour, then scanned the imprint. In the Outpost beta map, you could see Wampas behind sealed doors, a nod to the film scene where Luke is captured. In Jabba's palace, players can shoot a panel to trigger a trap door. A Gamorrean guard falls and is eaten by a Rancor. It's heard but not seen. The lowly G&K power droid appears across many maps. Shooting one makes it honk in protest. If a player stands ideal near a certain console on Solus, a snippet of the Cantina theme plays. On various maps, players can close blast doors to deny passage or open them to create shortcuts. Learning these interactions added depth. The cross-media link showed Lucasfilm's attention to canonical consistency at the time. One of the reasons Battlefront remains beloved is its audio. DICE collaborated with Skywalker Sound to use the original sound library and recorded new effects to match. Composer Gordy Habb wrote original music that blended seamlessly with John Williams' themes. The sound team captured environmental audio at real-world locations to replicate how blaster shots echo off cannon walls or metallic corridors. Reviewers and players consistently praised the audio as perfect, with some describing the game as one of the best sounding experiences ever created. The audio cues also serve gameplay. Heavy footprints warn of an approaching AT-ST, the rumble of a TIE bomber signals an orbital strike, and hero voice lines reveal who is on the field. Beyond the console and PC experience, Battlefront extended into other media. EA released a Star Wars Battlefront companion app on iOS and Android that allowed players to track statistics, view friends' progress, and earn in-game credits through a strategic game called Base Command. In this minigame, players use cards representing vehicles and characters to defend a base from waves of Imperial forces, completing base command missions, and awarded credits that could be spent in the main game to unlock weapons and star cards. The companion app also served as a lore hub, with codex entries and notifications about community events. Around the same time, Del Rey published Star Wars Battlefront: Twilight Company, a novel by Alexander Freed. Though not a direct adaptation of the game, it was inspired by the gritty ground warfare portrayed in Battlefront. The book follows the soldiers of Twilight Company, an Alliance infantry unit fighting across the galaxy. Rather than focusing on Jedi or main characters, the novel depicts ordinary troops dealing with loss and the brutal realities of war. Freed's story explores the moral complexity of rebellion and imperialism. The novel received praise for adding depth to the Battlefront brand and offering a mature, character-driven narrative that completed the game's more cinematic battles. Despite the visual and audio excellence, Battlefront faced legitimate criticisms at launch. The absence of a single-player campaign disappointed fans who wanted narrative experiences, reminiscent of the original two Battlefront games. The limited number of maps and lack of Clone Wars or prequel content gave some players content shock, especially when compared to the number of maps and modes in prior titles. The decision to lock future content behind a $50 season pass felt steep to many, especially since the base game cost $60. Critics argued that the random distribution of hero and vehicle power-ups reduced strategic depth and created chaotic battles. And while accessible, the simplified shooting mechanics and star card system left hardcore shooter fans craving more depth. Over the following year, DICE rolled out content and updates that addressed many complaints. Free DLC like Battle of Jakku and offline skirmish increased content without additional cost. Outer Rim, Bespin, Death Star, and Scarif added dozens of maps, modes, and heroes. Balance patches reworked weapons, star cards, and hero abilities, while updates improved partner spawning, scoring, and matchmaking. By early 2017, the game offered a much more robust package. Many players who had abandoned it at launch returned and were surprised how much have changed. The content also built trust. Players saw DICE was listening, even if the separate playlist system remained divisive. Casual players often describe Battlefront as the first shooter they can enjoy with their children or non-gamer spouses. One reviewer on Gaming Age wrote that he rarely plays online shooters, but he spent hours in Battlefront because of its easy-to-learn controls and the great Star Wars theme. He also acknowledged that the game felt unfinished without DLC and criticized the high cost. Yet he kept returning because it allowed him to share Star Wars with his friend. On community forums, many players recall Outer Rim's extraction mode and Death Star's battle station as some of the best multiplayer experiences they've had, moments where teamwork truly mattered and the stakes felt like movies. Others reminisce about the first time they successfully used the T-47 airspeeder's tow cable to topple an AT-AT, or the excitement of being chosen for the trench run. These do show that the game did deliver unforgettable moments, even if it lacked depth. Looking back, the 2015-2017 Battlefront era is often overlooked because of its sequel and controversies around loot boxes in 2017 dominated headlines. With hindsight, many players now appreciate the first game's accessible structure, lack of monetization beyond a clear season pass, and focused on original trilogy nostalgia. It did not include a campaign or Clone Wars content, but what it did was capturing the sights and sounds of classic Star Wars films and delivering them in an interactive form. The expansions progressively built a more complete experience, culminating in Scarif, which tied elegantly into the films. For those who were there during the hype of 2015, watching The Force Awakens and then going home to play Battlefront, those memories are powerful. It's not just about the content, it's about a cultural moment when the Star Wars brand felt unified across multiple medias. It's no surprise that some fans now call this era underrated and cherish it as a time when the magic of Star Wars did indeed return. The lessons from Battlefront 2015 influenced its sequel and other titles. Battlefront 2 added a single-player campaign, deeper class systems, and free DLC, though it stumbled with a controversial loot box system. The accessible design philosophy also informed the development of future Star Wars titles, like the Rogue Squadron VR experiences. In a way, the first Battlefront set a baseline for how modern AAA Star Wars games should look and sound, and its success paved the way for more ambitious projects. As we conclude this deep dive, it's important to emphasize the emotional side. Many of us remember where we were when we saw the first Battlefront trailer, how our jaws dropped when we heard the roar of a TIE fighter in our living rooms, and how we felt playing with friends during the holiday season of 2015. Yes, the game launched with flaws, but as months progressed, DICE expanded and refined the experience, and millions of players made memories. Whether you were troppling walkers on Hoth, sneaking through Jabba's palace in Extraction, dueling in Cloud City, escorting R2-D2 out of the Death Star, or running across the beaches of Scarif, you were living out Star Wars fantasies that have previously existed only in your imagination. The era may have been brief, but it was filled with wonder and fun times with friends. For those who've missed it, there's never been a better time to revisit. The game and its expansions are now inexpensive, servers still host matches, especially around this time, and you can enjoy the complete package without waiting for new content drops. If you were there, hold on to those memories. The mixture of film and game, of friends and family, of nostalgia and new experiences. Perhaps the era was underrated, but maybe that's what makes it special. It wasn't about hype alone, but about the joy of stepping into a galaxy far, far away at a unique moment in Star Wars history. Thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, and comment what your favorite Battlefront memory is. Maybe it is something in this game particularly, but any Battlefront memory in any of the games. I love to hear about stories, and also let me know what you think I should cover next in the world of Star Wars or anything beyond Star Wars. Also check out my podcast, which is on this channel every Tuesday, At the Movies with Ace and Martin, where we discuss a variety of topics in pop culture. And thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.